And walked all over. That was the identity that I was holding on to, because I just knew if I just waited a little bit longer, we'd be together and all would be over. So that didn't pan out as intended, and by any means. I huffed and puffed and I pouted. I got my big bad wolf on. But all in all, I dodged a bullet.
Roll me, Mac.
What's the longest time that you chased someone for love? Well, in one aspect, one would say a lifetime, my entire life. But that was before I knew what I knew now. But in other cases, let's say somebody that is like a physical, like a woman that I was actually with, I'd say the longest it was, I think we did that for, it was close to 2 years. Yeah, about close to 2 years. And like I said, I didn't know what I know now. So if I knew what I knew, I mean, see, in hindsight, you can pass the test. You know what I mean? Hindsight is 20/20. But looking back at that and just speaking from there, the longest, it was 2 years. It was 2 years, and I just knew that she was gonna wake up one day and she was gonna realize that I was all that she ever dreamed of in a boyfriend. And we were going to ride off into the sunset at a whole bunch of other fictitious fantasy beta male shit that I had in my head at the time. And I'm not, there's nothing wrong with having those thoughts, but it's just the ability to face reality, if that makes sense. And the things that you're doing. Because one cardinal rule for every man to understand is that you do not negotiate genuine burning desire. You don't. There's no way you can. It's not happening. It is just something innate. A woman knows when she wants to be with you. I mean it. Whether she gets you or not, she knows when she wants to be with you. This whole thing sitting around and just waiting for a woman to come to her senses to be with you shit, passe, long gone. That shit is way past due. I will no longer, what I learned from, I didn't learn from that situation for a very, very long time, but looking back at some of the decisions that I made in my life and personal relationships, and again, projecting a lot of my fantasy onto what that woman was, and I'm sure that was a tough burden to bear, and not hers to bear, number one. It's too heavy for her to carry, because it was never hers to carry. To try to turn somebody into the perfect version of your mother. And that's not how it goes. Or the perfect version of a parent. And that's how you know trauma is present. That's how you know you're projecting. That is how you know that you're not going to be around her much longer. Because you're trying to put some pressure, you're putting unnecessary pressure on her. Her job is to be the best version of herself. Your job is to be the best version of yourself as a man. See, what I would do is suppress emotion, suppress feeling. And then when I would find someone of interest, all of that shit that was suppressed, unhealed parts of you onto this person. And it's totally unfair. I hold myself accountable for all of which went down. What I tolerated, what I projected, that's all on me. That's all accountability coming from me. And I was doing my damnness. I didn't realize I was doing it, and you don't realize it because you're, you've been traumatized in a sense by something. May not know exactly what it is, but there's something that has happened to where you are now living in fear versus living in love versus you're living in fear versus living in love. Because when we were all kids, before we were taught fear, we lived in love. We did things out of love, but something happened. Something came along and fucked it up. Well, we interpreted it as a fuck up, and we retorted into our shell, and we just decided that this is not for me. I'm not going to trust the trustworthy, but I'm going to go towards the untrustworthy. I'm going to just give them everything. I hate to laugh at my pain, but that's part of the story, being able to laugh at your ego. You know what I'm saying? And that's, essentially what I recommend for myself to do, is to laugh at my pain and laugh at my ego, laugh at myself. Anytime I find myself thinking I'm bigger than myself, there's no one bigger than the self. That's it. That's all ego. Everything else is extra. But I was willing to chase. I was doing pulling all the stops, every Hallmark movie, the end of Hitch, we actually went to go see that movie Hitch together, but the end of Hitch, and a whole bunch of other trying to prove my love shit for this person. And it didn't matter what I did. This person was going to do what they intended to do as far as that relationship goes. But I just felt like I believed, based off of social programming, watching movies and Disney movies and TV shows, where this guy is chasing for this woman's love and he eventually gets her. Steve Urkel, you know what I'm saying? Spent that show was on for 10 years. This bitch waited until season 9 to get with Steve. You know what I'm saying? And I was caught up. You know what I'm saying? I was caught up in the illusion that this is how you go about getting the woman that you love. And I show it to be ineffective. I'm not going to call it wrong. I won't call it wrong. But it was definitely ineffective for me. And you know what I'm saying? I have no hard feelings over the situation. I was young. She was young. And I just look at it as a lesson, very much a lesson in how to go about engaging with the opposite sex. And as far as a relationship goes, and putting all focus into a woman, which is what I did. And that right there was what I found to be ineffective. And it cost me. cost me. I believe that is a lesson, that is a law from God and his universe. If you put a woman before the purpose, before your purpose of what you believe you're living, it's everything's going to be stripped from you. And I can honestly say, every time that I've put a woman, like I've just been head over heels over a woman, I couldn't eat, sleep, all the fucking R&B songs of the 90s over a woman. My life led to depression. My life was in, shambles. But I also attest that to the mental health aspect of it, of trying to make this woman responsible for my happiness. And that's, like I said, that's on me, man. That's totally on me. And all, like I said, all of them, I mean, they could only do what I tolerated. And once I learned how to set some boundaries for myself, which is, it's uncomfortable at first setting boundaries, but after a while you see what setting boundaries does, what having a frame can do when you're engaging with a woman who actually values men. Now, as far as the women that don't value men, yeah, they're gonna have issues with boundaries, and that's why you have boundaries up. For people like that, for women like, in this sense, for women like that, or for females like that who do not value that of a man who has boundaries, who has goals, who is working toward a purpose with his life. And I didn't know any better. I really didn't know any better. And I was trying to learn on my own. I thought that by loving harder was going to get them to love me, just the sweetest guy, the nicest guy, whatever, pushover, walked all over. That was the identity that I was holding on to, because I just knew if I just waited a little bit longer, we'd be together and all would be over. So that didn't pan out as intended, and by any means. I huffed and puffed and I pouted. I got my big bad wolf on. But all in all, I dodged a bullet, if I'm being honest, in a long scheme of things. And that's why I trust the universe the way that I do. Because you may want something so fucking bad and you just know that you're gonna get it. But there's a reason why you don't end up with that. You know what I'm saying? Because again, I say love is about appreciation and not possession. So it was never mine to have. It was mine to experience. And the thing is, sometimes you believe that the experience is gonna last a lifetime. The experience might be a night. The experience might be a couple weeks. The experience might be a couple months. The experience might be a couple years. But a lifetime, yeah, it doesn't always pan out that way. Let's just say that. There were plenty. I won't say plenty. There's probably like about a handful that I thought that I was going to spend the rest of my life with, based off the emotions that we had at the time. But that thing, hypergamy, is undefeated. You know what I mean? Hypergamy is completely undefeated. And, people change. Emotions change. How they feel for you changes. But you got to still work on you, though. Not allow yourself to crumble. You as a man are not able to just wallow in your sorrows, because no one gives a fuck about that. They break your heart. Aw, you probably did something for her to break your heart. It's going to be your fault type shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's just something you got to take, man. If you're fortunate enough to have like a mom that you can go to with that, that's dope, man. That's probably the only woman that really is gonna ride for you. You know what I'm saying? That's not trying to get something out of you. And even some mothers try to get some shit out of you. So, but that's not every mom. But what I'm saying is that really that unconditional love from a woman. Your mother may be that might be the only woman that you come across. For some of us, for some men, that might be the only woman you come across that's going to love you no matter what. Whether you show signs of weakness, whether you show signs of strength, whether you're too funny, whether you're too silly or too much of a clown. You still like shit from childhood, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot to take into account, and it's a harsh truth to accept, and to know how to, like I said, carry yourself as a man that puts out attraction. Yeah, a man that knows how to carry himself in an attractive way. You know what I mean? Like, no, there's a certain attraction that comes with how you carry yourself as a man, just as much as it is for a woman with attraction, just as much how she carries herself. If she's operating her femininity, if a man's operating his masculinity, when a woman that operates in her femininity, and like those things, it matters. It matters when it comes to attraction, because that's what it is. This opposites attract. So my masculinity is attracted to your femininity. Your femininity is attracted to my masculinity. So if I come with femininity and you're operating your femininity, you're gonna get the ick, as they call it. When you operate in your masculine and I'm operating my masculine, we're getting the male equivalent of an ick when we're engaging. And I look of another situation where I was chasing. It wasn't as long. I say this one in particular, we were talking for about, I'd say we talked for about 2 years, right? We're talking about a good 2 years, but I chased the last year. And this is a long distance situation. And so I'm not really a proponent for it, if I'm being honest. Because it's just effort. You know what I mean? And everybody don't carry the same effort is what you'll learn in those situations, right? But we like I said, we were talking, things were good. Like, in the beginning, when the representatives are out, everything is great. You ignore red flags when you have a crush on someone. And it was beautiful, you know what I'm saying? It was that fantasy shit. It was love bombing on both ends, you know what I'm saying? Like, we were both saying all the sweet nothings, and I can't wait to see you, I miss yous, and all of that shit, we would just dating myself. We were on webcam on Yahoo Instant Messenger back in the day, right? Or Yahoo Instant Messenger. And this is how we would have our relationship. But when you focus on the woman, once again, and this is young. This is, I'm young, like this is early 20s. And sure enough, man, that's all our life was. We would just sit, just lounging, whether she was in her college dorm or I was just in my house, because I just moved to Miami, and things were, like I said, things were great. I was definitely infatuated with her. I was definitely I was head over heels for sure. I loved the idea of her in my mind, man. I really did. I loved the idea of her in my mind. And what ends up happening is that you start seeing that person's not so effective sides of them. And what you know to do is just to make your girlfriend happy, make your girl happy, make your wifey happy, whatever term you want to use, synonym in this, in the situation. You want to do whatever makes her happy. And then you start seeing things that wouldn't bother you at all really bother her. And now you got your people pleasing coming out because you're afraid to lose this love that you believe is yours. But nothing is yours in this life to lose. It's yours to experience. No matter what your ego and your inner child tells you. Everything is meant for you to experience in this life, not to own. It was just, that's how you appreciate shit. You were meant to experience it. So because you don't own anything, appreciate everything is the motto for this situation. So what ends up happening is that we have some, I'll call it some family related issues going on. And there's a certain line that must be drawn. And I had to set a boundary. I had to set a line in the sand. And when you force me to choose between, my kid and me, all bets are off. Honestly, it's just all bets are off. And what I will say is, I was young and trying to put that whole, you gonna be a stepmama shit. Well, I didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. I had no idea what I was doing as a father, for that matter. But what I will say is that the response was kind of, I was taken back by it, and I had a decision to make, man. But what ends up happening, really, and that was even before the chase. So we had a falling out, kind of split for a little bit, reunited. She got some information about some things that went down while we weren't united, and then what ends up happening is spite happens. And what happens with spite is, like, I want him to feel the way I felt when I got that information. Essentially, I think we kind of talked about that at a later date, and when we weren't together and stuff like that. This is just us being more mature and just being able to talk about the situation. But what ends up happening is I would make sure I was in place, in a position to contact her at whatever availability she had, because again, this is a long distance relationship, and that military comes with like a certain type of discipline to meet a certain time. And when you're in the military and trying to make phone calls home, you put yourself in position to where you can be there to have said conversation. So what ends up happening is a whole bunch of missed phone calls, delayed text messages, days, you know what I'm saying? And I still was right there, puppy dog, you know what I'm saying? I was right there, and at a moment's notice, because here I am. I believe this is people pleasing and abandonment going on in my head. I think this is how I was responding to it. And I learned a lot. It definitely did not leave the best taste in my mouth in regards to long distance relationships. And I learned that not everybody is for you, but for what you can do for them, right? And I still put it to the fact that we were young. We're very emotionally immature, especially me. I will accept that. I accept that fully. Now, it's very emotionally immature. But the chasing, I did it, whatever. I was willing to move for all of us, for my family, her family, all that, to be together. I had this, this grandiose idea of how a family was going to be. And if you look at Red Table Talk, and this is probably not the best example, but Will Smith talking to Jada, this is before the entanglement, but he was talking about how he wanted to make the perfect family. And that's based off of what he saw growing up. And I found myself doing the same shit. And it was so healing when he said that, because I was like, that was me. I was trying to build the perfect family, and I was willing to do whatever. I was going to move back to Virginia from Miami for this person, the idea of this family and all of that shit. But it was just like, whatever. And after a while, we had a conversation, and she had a choice, and she made her choice, job-wise, and I had to accept it. And that was a tough one. And I didn't know how to manage emotions or deal with a breakup as well as one could have been, you know what I'm saying, who was aware of his own emotions, aware of his own identity, and not projecting himself onto another person. But it really was a learning experience, I believe, for the both of us at that age. And what I'm saying, I say we're still cool to this day. We don't speak frequently or anything like that, but there, it's just it's a healthy rapport now, and like, just to see, hey, how's your family doing and all that shit. But chasing, yes, the chasing for, I said 2 years. Yeah, 2 years is what I did. I chased for the longest I've ever, to answer the question, the longest I ever chased it was for 2 years. I'm sure it was a very entertaining story, both of them that was just shared. But I learned a lot. Like I said, I learned a lot with it. And like I said, knowing what I know now, that would have never, it wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened at all. None of that shit would have happened at all, knowing what I know now, because you don't, again, fellas, you do not negotiate genuine burning desire. If she, like I said, if she's feeling you, she's gonna show it. I promise you, she's going to. A woman that's really into you is going to show that she's into you. And if she just kind of like you, you're gonna kind of feel it. And that's why it's important to focus on your damn self. And you'll know when a woman has GBD for you, and it makes a world of difference. It truly does, for women who actually value men. You know what I'm saying? They don't look at men as accessories, and there's some women that do. And of those, they end up with men that'll do just about anything for them. I remember being one of them for a few of them, and ragdoll, just treated like whatever. Because when you treat somebody like a celebrity, they're going to treat you like a fan. You know what I'm saying? So it was a learning experience, nevertheless. But the longest chase, 2 years. What's the biggest challenge for you with maintaining a masculine frame while knowing when not to respond to negativity? Well, I believe the biggest thing is just trying to conquer childhood battles in real time. That's probably the biggest challenge, because your childhood wants to prove that you can beat up the bully now. But because you're an adult, because you're in the present moment, because you have emotional maturity, it's no longer the requirement to beat up the bully. You don't have to. And I believe that's part of growing up. And it took some of us some time, and some of us are still growing from that. But I don't feel the need to respond to someone that was sent to tear me down. They wanted to see, they wanted to see if they can throw rocks at my window. But my window's too high now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's part of growing up. It really is part of growing up, and realizing that you do not have to respond. Just because you can respond doesn't mean you have to. That doesn't make you soft. That don't make you weak. That makes you wise to know who to respond to and not to respond to. As the guru, as one of my many mentors, Rich Cooper, states, mind the fucks you give, man. Truly mind the fucks you give. Because there are some people that just want to get a reaction out of you. Their life is in pain, so they have to project it somewhere. And they get joy. People get joy out of getting a response out of you, because they view you more than you might even view yourself at times. They want to know that they could get this person's response. Take, for instance, like what celebrities go through on social media, and people that just say wild shit, and they just hope for people like Kevin Durant, who loves to respond to bullshit online, but they hope that they can get a response out of somebody with a blue check next to their name just for their own validation. And that's the thing. When you become emotionally mature, you turn into the validator, not the one who needs to be validated. And what I've learned is to remember that I am the validator. I'm the validator. I decide what gets to me. I choose every emotion. Happy, sad, mad, angry, Whatever the emotion is, I'm choosing it. And just because something happens and I've been programmed to respond this way, doesn't mean I have to choose this way. I can reprogram my mind, neuroplasticity, and have a different outcome this time versus before, where you say something about my mom or whatever, somebody about my family, I'm supposed to respond or get called nigga or some shit. You know what you were doing when you decided to do that. And if you think I'm giving up what I value to give you the energy that you desire, the response that you desire, then kill yourself, because it ain't happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, forget that, man. It's not going down, because I do my best to hone in that masculinity, that calm, and being calm in chaos, and removing myself from situations where I know that this individual is blatantly trying to get a reaction out of me. And I question whether or not I should respond to certain shit. If I get tagged or sent messages or something, whether it's private, like DM or something like that, and someone is trying to gauge a response out of you, you can decide whether or not you want to respond to it. And truth be told, you don't have to. Anger's a choice response. And anything that's sent to you that you don't receive, that you don't accept, goes back to sender. So like I said, when you become a lot more emotionally mature, when you're aware of your emotions and aware of what you respond to, you become the validator. Until then, you want to be validated. And I'm not going to say there's nothing wrong with trying to be validated, but you're going to get to a point in graduation where you no longer require that. You don't need the hand clap from your parents anymore. You don't have to look at them as your God anymore, as some of us was essentially raised to believe. And that's, I wish I could take credit for that, but that's Jordan Peterson. He broke that down brilliantly to me. And it was like, the way he described it, he was talking about you come home from like college or something, you go visit your parents and they're hanging out with their friends, and their friends are the same age as them. And like, do you care? And he asked them, do you care what your parents' friends think? And you're like, no. Then why do you care what your parents think? And it was like a light bulb, just kind of went off with that. And you can look that up on, YouTube, Jordan Peterson, Parents, Gods, lecture, whatever. And he'll probably do it a little bit more eloquently than I was able to do just now, but I got the message. And it's like, that's what's part of like growing up. A lot of us, even at work, we want our boss to validate us. Like, this is another grown ass person just like you. They don't have to validate what I want you to do is validate these damn finances, and keep these raises going or what have you. But as far as you recognizing, you giving me credit for some shit I'm supposed to do, I don't care for that. I get the whole thing of rectifying something you see I've done wrong, but as far as the job goes, or ineffectively, but I do not require your validation. I don't require your validation as my boss, and it's just a position that you have on the team, but we're all a part of the same team. And that's something that I did not really take into account for a long time. I was looking at my boss as like a parent to me. And when I didn't get praise, when I didn't feel seen or something like that, I threw a tantrum like a child. So what happens when you act like a child to a grown person? How are they going to treat you? Like a fucking child. And you learn from it. So that's what I mean by like the biggest challenge between maintaining your masculine frame and knowing when to respond to someone that was sent to try to project their pain onto you. You remain indifferent. You do your best to remain indifferent and do your best to try to see things from that person's perspective. as to the reason why they're doing this. What pain are they in that they feel like they have to project that onto you? They feel like you have something that they don't, that they have to say something to you. But when you are secure within yourself, you don't project on anybody. You're too busy dealing with yourself. You know what I'm saying? Some people are just so uncomfortable with themselves that they have to say something to you or anybody that's around or project themselves. They do not know how to sit in silence. And those are the telltale people who are battling insecurities. Because insecurities are loud. And those individuals that, like I said, are not comfortable just sitting in silence, they have to say something. They need you to acknowledge the shit that they say out of their mouth. Yeah, you're dealing with the insecure, and that's not to point fingers, that's observation. That's not to judge, that is merely observation. And what everyone is doing is teaching you how to love them. But the people who need love the most ask for it in the most unloving fucking ways a lot of times. But you got to ask yourself, do I really want to take on your problems? I don't like making people's problems my problems. I do my best not to make my problems their problems. But like, it's just learning how to manage those, like I said, manage those emotions and not make anything about you. And that's where Toltec wisdom comes in, and the 4 agreements. And it's like not taking anything personal, not making assumptions. You don't know why that person did that. You don't know why they did that. All you know is that they did that, but you don't know why they did that. The only one that can say why they did that is the person doing that. That's it. But to learn from it is to not take anything personal. Not at all. Don't take anything personal from people. They are they're sleepwalking in their own pain, and they're projecting. And that's another thing of learning how to manage such in a masculine frame, man. And especially being one with a masculine frame and engaging with women who this is a first for them, to be with someone that they're the ones really like checking the guy they're seeing's emotions. They had to parent them. You know what I'm saying? They had to parent the guy they're seeing. So to talk to a guy who literally is emotionally mature, more emotionally mature than what I would say they've experienced, is still emotionally immature because just human in general. But to be involved with that, it can be quite challenging because you don't know how to deal with it. You would not know how to deal with that. I think it's the equivalent for us men who wouldn't know how to really manage being with a woman who actually genuinely is about you. You know what I'm saying? Used to them doing for something, whether it's resources, whether it's, like you look good on you look good with them accessory, you know what I'm saying? But to have a woman that literally is just, she chooses you, it can be challenging. It can be very challenging. And it can cause self-sabotage for some. You know what I'm saying? All in all, we're all human, right? We're just all human. But yeah, the biggest challenge, and honing in and having your masculine frame and knowing when not to respond to bullshit is trying to conquer unnecessary battles from the past. That battle is no longer needed. You no longer have to prove anything. That's the beauty of becoming an adult. I believe you become a mature adult when you realize you don't have to prove anything to anyone. You don't. You just don't require that. And no matter what the people around you say, no, you should say no. You don't require anything. That means you have to prove yourself. The ego has to prove itself. The soul just is, and realizes that nothing has to do with you. And it just turns off whatever. It's like a shield. And it keeps you from engaging in unnecessary conflict with people who were sent there to project their pain and get a rise out of you. And most people give them what they want and they engage in unnecessary conflict. But you can remain indifferent and you can walk away. And you can send them positive and healing energy and just be like, whatever they're going through is bigger. I'm bigger than their problems. You know, it's just remember to keep that calm energy about yourself and not allow somebody to take you to that level. And some are willing to go to that fucking level. There are parts of me that there are times where I get triggered and I want to fight battles from childhood. I'm not a child no more. Good luck reminding my ego that shit, but I'm not a child anymore. Somebody's child, but I'm not a child anymore. So I have to act like that. You know what I'm saying? People are going to treat you however you act. If you carry yourself in an immature fashion, people are going to treat you like you're a child. You carry yourself like a mature adult, and the people that will treat you with respect. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about how we want to carry ourselves. Yeah. That to me, that's the biggest challenge. Most unsung hero in comedy to you? Without skipping a beat, David Alan Grier is the most unsung hero of comedy for me. And for those who don't know David Alan Grier, check out In Living Color, check out Boomerang, check out Blank Man, check out The Peebles, check out Gerard Carmichael's show. He was the dad, and it was an old folk show that they had on, I think, Fox. They were all like senior citizens or something like that. But David Alan Grier, graduate, I think, of Yale University. But the guy sings, the guy acts, the guy, he can do it all. He was a writer, producer. But David Alan Grier's comedy level knows no bounds, man. I'm talking about everything from acting like the crooked pastor on Martin, from being, on A Living Color with the many characters that he had there, from being the cop on Jumanji, and he had the shoes he was trying to make on Jumanji, and like just various different scenes that David Alan Grier would have. But in my mind, growing up as a kid who was raised on comedy, who wanted to be a comedian as a kid, and who was influenced by an array of comedians, David Alan Grier, to me, is the most unsung hero in comedy for me. Are you ever afraid of people knowing who you really are? Well, who I am is a very, very fluid concept. But I believe that you should police how much of you that you release to people based on the relationship that you have with them. That's what I truly believe. I believe that just putting it all out there type thing, I believe in doing so in a sense of like things you like to talk about, right? But as far as just showing everything about you, playing all your cards on the first time meeting people, not just a date, but meeting people, no, I believe that your story is earned, and that's, contradicting with all the fucking stories about myself I've shared on this show. But like meeting people in real life and engaging with them on a day-to-day basis, yes, the story must be earned. So afraid of people knowing who I truly am. I mean, I believe that we all have skeletons. I believe we all have things that we don't share. I believe we have things that we're not so necessarily proud of from our past. It's maybe not proud of in our present, or even proud of what we're going to do in the future. But learning how to love unconditionally is a motherfucker. And I stand firmly behind the fact of unconditional love, but not unconditional tolerance. And that all that means is that I have to love me more than I love you. Because if I don't, I'll let just anything happen. And that's I think that's where the challenge comes in. Because I believe that I was brought up in a way that no matter what you do, I'm to forgive you and I'm to love you. And it got me in a lot of situations where I was, walked over and I was treated like shit on a lot of things. And I allowed it. I allowed it to happen. I thought that, someone was coming to save me. And all I have to do is just wait it out and just keep being kind to unkind people. That's not how it works. And so being afraid to show who you are, I find myself being very mindful of the people that I'm around, and that will dictate what is being shown. It has nothing to do with being fake. That is just being aware of your audience, like a comedian. And some people come with their own projections. They have these judgments that they have based on the religion they may follow, based on the cult they're in, whatever it is, And what I like to think and believe is that you're entitled to believe whatever you want around me. Just don't project it on me. That's my mindset, Like I have my beliefs on things. I have my beliefs about hypergamy. I have my beliefs about, spirituality. I have my, beliefs on a lot of things. And that's about me. It has nothing to do with anybody else. This is all my world. I am just in a bubble. I live in my bubble. You live in your bubble. These are all the things that go on in my bubble. And everything that you believe in your bubble doesn't necessarily mean I believe it in my bubble. But you still have your bubble. And our bubbles can coexist. But there's some people that really believe that you have to go by this because this is the right way. Ego. You know what I'm saying? When you learn to live by right and wrong, based on what you believe is right and wrong, then when you feel like you're right, you go on the attack to make people believe, to get people to do what you want to do, what you want them to do. And that's not how, I don't believe that's how life works. I believe that's how you create characters. And I know it because I grew up in a system like that where, of course of what the religion that I grew up in, you know what I'm saying? It definitely had me to where we all had to behave a certain way on the surface. Meanwhile, and I don't say everybody, I say, I don't want to use it as an absolute term, but majority of the people under this particular religion, and it's certain in which we came from, and that's nothing against anybody that we kind of grew up together. We were doing things that might not necessarily be most accepted from a popular standpoint. From a popular vote standpoint, we might not have been accepted, but here we are, still human, still capable of love, still capable of loving others. But because of what we were raised in, we were made to be puppets. We were made to be characters of ourselves. And we knew how to turn it on. We knew how to be this person in front of our parents. We knew how to be this person in front of our, again, like aunts and uncles we consider from the church. But when we got within our age group, we became these people who felt like they didn't try to put on any fronts. But in the event we get into something and then the people that we once revered as like, people we looked up to, and there was like some form of disapproval. Meanwhile, they've made the very same mistakes as us. It comes with hypocrisy, in my opinion. When all of us are just human and we can just accept that. Why pretend like we're anything more than human? We're going to make mistakes. We're going to live lives. We're going to find our way back. Or maybe not even back, but we're going to find a way to live life in a way that is suitable for us. I guess that's really what I'm saying. But I know trying to do things for love, you become a character, and a very good, like I said, I keep talking about it so much on this show, but the Four Agreements talks about this in the beginning of the book. Before you are born, you are given a religion, you are given, like all of these things. You're given all these preconceived thoughts for yourself that you don't get to make. If you don't agree with what the majority around you want you to do because they're doing it, then love is removed. And now they've taught you how to become a character of yourself. And that's where people pleasing is taught, because you don't get to do what you want to do. You got to do what everybody else is doing, or you got to do what whatever your religion tells you to do, and whatever you believe, depending on your religion. There's so many religions, yet somehow everyone's got all different rules. So they're deciding what's a sin and what isn't, right? And it's interesting when we can just learn how to love people unconditionally, right? And I believe in what's effective and what's ineffective. But as far as like allowing a person to see who you truly are, each person has to earn your story, and it takes time. It's that's part of building a relationship, right? You build a relationship with someone, and as you build that relationship, more and more of you, and granted, it's a fluid concept because you're learning who you are on a day-to-day basis. On a daily basis, you get to decide who you are. But as far as being around people and not feeling the need to be judged, how do you do that? You do that by being understanding. And how do you become understanding? You listen. You listen without judgment. You listen without projecting. You just listen. You let a person have their own thoughts. And you don't try to tell them how to think. You don't tell them how to live their life. You allow them to be whoever it is they're going to be. And then you learn how to love them in that way. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, like I said, I believe in unconditional love. I do not believe in unconditional tolerance. So I can love you from way over here. I don't have to talk to you every day to love you. If I believe what you're doing is causing havoc in my life, then I have to love me enough to separate myself from that. You know what I'm saying? And that's not judgment. That's all, again, that goes back to observation and being able to set a healthy boundary with yourself and not feeling bad about it, because not everything is for everyone. You know what I mean? It's like going to a club. It's got five different dance floors. One is hip hop, one is reggae, one is R&B, one is Latin, and one is country. You can go into this room. I'm gonna go over here because this is where I am right now. I still love you. You can go in the country room, you can go in the R&B room, whatever, but I'm gonna go over here and fuck with this Latin real quick. You know what I'm saying? And later on in life, you might end up in the same room as that person. You just never know. But afraid of knowing who I am. No, I honestly don't believe that I would necessarily be afraid. I think it's more so whether or not they can handle it. That's the thing. Can people really handle you telling their the truth about your life, about your story? I don't believe many can take it. You know what I'm saying? Because we all have, I believe most of us have these illusions of people. And once you find out the truth, it distorts all illusions that you had of that person. And that's where you truly have to learn how to love unconditionally, right? Based off of what they've shared. You don't get to make up a story in your head. It doesn't match what you have. But when we have those expectations of people and then they tell us something and it doesn't match our expectations, we get upset at them when actually we're upset at ourselves about our expectations of said person, this entitlement that comes with that. And our ego is a motherfucker. Our ego knows how to slip its way back into whatever's going on. I mean, I can talk about the soul all day. My ego is like that little kid that's supposed to be in the bed, but they keep coming and creeping behind the corner trying to see what the grown folk doing in the living room. That ego will try to sneak its way back into the business, but it's about learning how to manage that. And I believe we can manage it. It's all about being skillful. So, as far as people knowing who I really am, I have no issue sharing. I mean, if I embrace my story, no one can use it against me. So, and as far as telling the story and letting folks know whoever, the people I come across know who I really am, it's just a matter if you can handle what is about to be said. I think that's really I believe that's really the deal for me is, are you willing to distort your illusions to know? But another episode done, another episode complete, and another therapeutic moment for me. That's what these things are for me. It's just being able to get that all out. But I'm Romy Mac, and this is it. And I'm done. Good night, kids.